What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Lou, and today we got another reaction for the Pluggy Plugger channel. For this video we're going to be talking about John and the whole IG Live community beef versus WISEGUYS. I'm starting off with John because WISEGUYS went in on John first and the most. So for this video we're going to be doing, I'm going to break it down in parts. WISEGUYS had a lot to say about John, Jwavy, Ken Street, Sideshow Lou. I think maybe like a few things about Enzo, Jwavy. I think maybe like OD Hunt and a couple people that was also on that Zoom call with John and Ken Street, the one that they orchestrated to talk about WISEGUYS and everything that he had going on. So for this video, we're going to be talking about John. Around the time my channel got deleted was around the same time that John Patta and Ken Street, they had made a Zoom call. And they brought Brick Baby in it. They brought Jitman in it. Nah, I don't think Jitman was in it. They brought Ken Street in it. I forgot his name. The man who's doing the party promotions. Something Moon or Moon something. Jwavy, Enzo. A bunch of people was in the Zoom call. And during the Zoom call, they were talking on everything that WISEGUYS promised but fell through short on. They were talking about all the lies that he was saying, that, you know, for the reasons as to why he couldn't do certain things, and, you know, just things in that sort of realm. This was also the time that WISEGUYS had a podcast. I think it was called The Social Club. This was a podcast that he was going to have Enzo host and have Enzo run, and he was going to bring on people and they could talk and, you know, do what they do on Instagram but do it live. That was his goal. And this was around the same time that John and Ken Street had the Zoom call. So after that Zoom meeting, WISEGUYS had basically gotten deplatformed. Like, there was really nobody rocking with WISEGUYS who actually had clout, I would say. So like Enzo, this was around the time Enzo was split between, but he wasn't really making it too known that he was with WISEGUYS though. Like, he wasn't saying like, oh, shout out WISEGUYS, like how he was back before the Zoom meeting. So because of the meeting, WISEGUYS had gotten deplatformed, and him getting deplatformed, he didn't really have no place on Instagram Live, or he didn't have nobody that could go on Instagram Live and speak on his piece and speak on, like, you know, his issues and his problems and what's a lie and what's not, what's the truth and everything in that nature. So what he started to do was go on Instagram stories, and he started posting stories explaining his side and talking on everything. And during this time too, he also had a couple people who was still a part of the WISEGUYS team. I think Big Op, Prince Hype, for a couple of them. And this was around the time that Big Op and Enzo and Jwavy, they was beefing. So during the beef, Big Op, he was talking about some of the things that WISEGUYS was unhappy with, and he started, you know, going in and also violating and greasing Enzo and making fun of him and all that. And they was doing their best too, but mainly Jwavy. He was on Jwavy heavy because that's who the main person that WISEGUYS had problems with. So they was doing that. So being that he's deplatformed, in this video I took all the screenshots of everything he posted, and we're gonna break it down. And I'm gonna do it in two parts. I'm gonna do WISEGUYS versus John Patta. Then I'm gonna do WISEGUYS versus Famous Criminals. I'm gonna do it like that. Make it like a 30-minute video, 40-minute video, however long I could. Hopefully I can make it short, but however long it takes is how long we'll do it. So before WISEGUYS even started going in on everybody during his Instagram Live stories, he was upset because I think Loud Pack or Famous Criminals, somebody within the Instagram Live community had posted his location, or they threatened him in some kind of way. So there was a post. I might just throw it up quickly. There was a post he had posted of a text message thread on iMessage, a text message between him and Jwavy, or I think him and Loud Pack, and it was talking on like who was threatening who and things like that. So I'm gonna put it up so you guys can see. So during that time in the Zoom call, I think John or somebody had stated how WISEGUYS or Michael basically had made a lie about his wife, saying about, I think, how his wife either passed away or she was like seriously hurt or seriously ill, and that's why he couldn't promote the show or go to a show, some event that they was going to do for the artist. He was saying how that was kind of like, that was somewhat of a lie, and he was like, oh, you know, that's not true. And he has like footage, or he's going to get footage of her speaking out, basically explaining why they're wrong and they're putting false claims on her name. And that was what WISEGUYS had stated. I'm gonna throw everything up also stated how John and Jwavy lied on his wife. She said she was going to expose that and show exactly how they was lying on her. He goes on to say how he has footage or like serious info on Ken Street, John Pata, and everybody within the Instagram Live community for them doing all the wrong and blaming him and making him look like the bad person. And Wise Guys also stated how Jwavy and John Pata came together to lie on his wife. Wise Guys is more concerned with waiting for them to get out everything that they want to say about him, let them dig their hole, and then he was going to dig his hole basically and start saying everything about them, because he looks at it as like, since he was paying them, he was able to get information and extract gossips or whatever, drama or whatever, and save it and post it via his Instagram story so people could see like, okay, who's a liar, what's going on, and who's telling the truth, and whatever the case might be. But both sides both got negative things going on with both on each side. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's one side only. He also says that he's not gonna come after Enzo, even though he did a little bit. He said he's not gonna come after Enzo because of legal reasons, and then he's not gonna come after Brick Baby because in person him and Brick Baby were cool. So he doesn't want to flip the script just because Brick Baby was on that Zoom call with Ken Street and John. And he said that he'll also leave Famous Criminals alone, the YouTuber who basically talks about the up and coming Instagram Live or content creators. So he started saying how he has info on all these people, but he's only going to go after a few. Even though he said he may not go after Famous Criminals, he did go after Famous Criminals a little bit. But it was both, you know, two of them were both kind of in the wrong in certain aspects, and I'm gonna explain later on in the video. He claims that John is trying to pin Jwavy, I mean not Jwavy, he's trying to pin Jitman and Famous Criminals against Wise Guys so that he could kind of basically round up the troops and make it look as though we can't be wrong because it's all of us against Wise Guys. So if everyone is saying Wise Guys is bad, then he must have did something wrong. So in this video, we're going to break that down and talk a little bit about who's wrong and what, and exactly what did Wise Guys do and his influence within the Instagram Live community. Wise Guys also goes in and he speaks about how the Florida Instagram Live scene, or somewhat of the Midwest Instagram Live scene, is very like crabs in the barrel. If they don't know you or you don't have clout, even if let's say you have talent, they're not going to want to put you in their lives. They're not going to want to talk to you. They might degrade you, clown you. This is what he said, that Jwavy, I think Enzo, John, a couple of them had told him this, like, you know, if we go to this trip or if we go here, don't bring this person, or I don't want to work with this person because they have no clout. So if I'm going to work with them, it doesn't make no sense because, you know, it's not bringing me no kind of value. So if you bring them on, we're going to like haze them basically and force them out. So Wise Guys was trying to explain like how that's kind of like scummy and like an L to basically do. In the clips, Wise Guys, more or less, he tries to like sympathize or empathize with the fans, or like the people who would come up on Jwavy, Enzo's live, or whoever live, and he would try and empathize with them and reach them and try and say like, oh, I understand how they feel going up on live, and then just to get clowned by Enzo or Jwavy or whoever's on that live just because they don't know them. So they look at it, Wise Guys is looking at it as like, hey, they got this little inner circle and they don't want to let nobody else in unless they feel as though you're on their level or doing better than them. And I kind of feel what Wise Guys is saying to an extent, because when I was Pluggy Plugger uploading and doing what I was doing for the Instagram Live community, it's not until my page got deleted is when a few of them wanted to kind of, you know, get me back in the loop and start posting them, and they start saying my name without saying my name. So it's like, you know, they want to give you that, but they don't want to give you that because they look at it as like, oh, well, if you coming after me, then that's my clout, that's me. So I kind of understand. They don't look at it as like, oh, it's a team, we all work together. So Wise Guys has the funding and some ideas, and the YouTubers are posting up clips and they have ideas for content, and the people themselves are just going to Instagram Live. If you get all of them in a room and you talk and collaborate, they could actually go further, and the people who's in the background could go further along with Wise Guys. So that's how I look at it. But Wise Guys looks at it as like, you know, they're more picky and more like you can't get in, basically. He starts talking about how like he was dishonest in some ways. He takes some accountability. He says he's dishonest in some ways. At a certain point, what he decided to do was use their own methods against them to dismantle their whole group. So like talking to them and giving them information so that he could get information that he shouldn't be knowing, or that they're not supposed to be saying to him, just so he could go and turn around and tell this person or say to this person how this person was scummy to you or saying this bad thing about you. So that's what he was kind of like playing the same game. He was playing the same game that they was playing, because if you was keeping up with the lives with Enzo, Jwavy, Big Op, all of them, like Jitman, like, you know, once they get certain information, they get on Instagram Live, and the minute they feel like you're doing wrong to them, they start trying to say everything that you told them in private. They start saying that. I know Jwavy did that one time to Jitman. Jitman and Jwavy both did it to each other. Jwavy was saying how like, oh, Jitman, you're a fiend. All you be doing is taking perks. When I met you in person, you was asking me for money for perks. And then Jitman was saying like, oh, well, Jwavy, you're a fake. You got a gun, but you know, you be scared to up it, and you know, things like that. So they be going at each other in that kind of way. So Wise Guys looks at it as like, hey, since they're starting to, you know, stray away from me because I'm not paying them no more, and certain things aren't falling through, and let me start, before they could catch on, let me start doing things and saying things and getting information, so that in case they want to go and get at me, I will have something in the tuck to want to, you know, let them know like, hey, you can't just say this or do this, because it wasn't all just my fault. So we're gonna start with John first. In the clips, Wise Guys starts off first by, in the clips, Wise Guys starts taking accountability for the things that he done, but not the things that he's done to Enzo and the people within the community. He's speaking in general, so them included, but he's speaking in general. Before he was even deciding to want to be on the internet, he said he did wrong to men and women, but to him, it's like he never publicized it. And like he says that he's not perfect. He basically starts to take accountability, and he talks about like how he's not perfect and he's done wrong things to both men and women, including people within the Instagram Live community, but he never publicized it publicly or put them on the internet. He starts to go in more and talks about how he trapped John, such as getting all the foul things that he's done via the scams, the lying, the fakeness to friends. Like even people on that Zoom call that he was with talking to, he had people who was in that same Zoom call that he was speaking to Wise Guys about, and like kind of being two-faced. Like he would go to Wise Guys and say something negative about them, but then have them in the Zoom call and try and get them to go against Wise Guys. He starts talking more on Jwavy. He starts to say how Jwavy's a bad parent and how he always came through for Jwavy. I guess for his children's birthdays party where he didn't have money, Pampers, just everything. Like talking on how Jwavy had like this pedo allegation with some 17-year-old girl. He talks about the fakeness that Jwavy would show to John and Enzo and try and keep them out the way. Like he'll try to blackball them to try and make sure that Wise Guys focuses only on him and not so much as Enzo and John, and like don't work with them as much. So Wise Guys, he starts talking about how he's a hustler, and he states that by him being a hustler, he's just returning the same energy that they was giving him, or not just him, but the people within the Instagram community who they would, you know, degrade and violate and just try and keep them down. Like anybody, I guess, who wanted to get lit. So he said that he gave them like a taste of their own medicine, and they started to change up and like not fuck with him no more. The minute he started, you know, the minute he stopped giving them money, that's when they wanted to start changing, and they didn't want to really fuck with him no more. So I'm gonna put up all the messages and the threads that between him and John, and then, you know, y'all can read it and give your input, and I'm gonna explain after who's right and who's wrong.